City of Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded November 13, 2023.
First item is the approval of last month's minutes. Are there any additions or corrections?
No, move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, next are the department claims. Water Department, any questions?
There's a whole bunch of cars.
Yep, this was part of last December, so we got these approved through capital. And then last meeting, I had kind of mentioned our plan switched up a little. Ultimately, we're about the same with dollars, but they're just new vehicles. They're due to replace in the fleet.
So who drives these around? Just staff? You?
Yeah. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Operator. I don't have a new one.
the ones we got were an office vehicle, the one I drive. The ones they both drive are a chief operator and a single cab, 1 ton for plowing.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions about Water Department claims? If not, we'll go on to sewage. Any questions there?
No, on some of the, they have replacement vehicle. Is that department's portion of a replacement vehicle?
I think these are all not split up, right? They're written to a certain enterprise.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, if there are no further questions on sewage, we'll go on to stormwater.
Nothing for me.
Good. Fiber?
Nope.
Sweet. In a motion to approve all 4 sets of claims are in order.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign. Motion carried. All right. Eric, water supply and distribution, please.
Good afternoon. Guys, with the normal report, just wanted to add a couple things. We completed our DNR required lead and copper sampling this summer. The pool focused on houses with copper plumbing and lead solder, and then a handful of lead service goosenecks that were left were in that sampling pool as well. But since those are all removed, they're officially done with our lead and copper sampling for the DNR. Out of the 30 samples that are required every 3 years, we had 1 blemish of a high copper sample. And when you have a high sample, you have to resample once. And once we did, it came back under the action level. So you just got to give the homeowner some paperwork and say, hey, look, this is educational. This is what you can do to make sure you don't have a problem with your piping. So we just got to inform them why they had a high sample possibly. So that was good.
Question for you on,
Yeah.
on lead. How do you know that there's lead solder?
We sample it. We have swabs that we can buy.
Oh.
And so our guys actually have to go into the basement and swab the joints. You break in, it turns bright pink or purple.
Is that only if we get a high copper or lead sample?
What was that?
Is that only if we get a high lead?
No, prior
that
to
first.
Yeah, we have to do it first. The houses, they're required to have lead solder to be in the sampling pool. So we have to go in.
Okay,
In order to get 30 houses, we have to probably do 60 to 70 to make sure they have
okay.
lead solder.
And we know that basically by construction year.
That too, right?
Mm.
Yeah, go in based on construction year, and then we go in and sample the solder to make sure they're lead, and then we use them in the sampling pool.
Yep.
What about, houses that predate any construction year?
Well, that's only for copper pipe, like 83, 84, is a real kind of year you go after. Anything prior to that too. But the ones that are a lot older, they'll have galvanized pipe in them.
Yep.
So that's kind of a different
Okay,
pool.
okay.
we are swabbing all copper pipes now with solder just to see for our own record, because it's probably gonna come down eventually on ours to note that anyways, so.
Okay.
Other than that, we're good on that for 3 years. We're just in the middle of designing the new reconstructs for next year, Bliss Ave area down here, and then Maria Drive and Walker Street on the north side.
So where are we at with those lead service lines?
They're gone.
It's all done.
Yep.
Wow.
Great
I
job.
was just reading a report about Milwaukee,
Oh, yeah, it's pretty nasty.
terrible.
Yep.
So congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good job. Sewage treatment, Chris?
All right, got the reports here. You will be able to look at the final effluent discharge data for October, that one right there. You'll see under phosphorus, final ppm, all of the numbers are 0.274. That is not a typo. That is our limited detection. That's as low as we can test in lab. And we're at or below that for the entire month. So that's why if you notice that's not a typo, that's actual numbers. Other than that, big thing, dryer is up and operational. Everything is running. We're back to processing Class A biosolids again, rather than trucking material. That's all I've got for you. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Oh, and we did meet all of our permit requirements for the month of October.
That's good.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Construction and maintenance report, Shane.
Sure. As far as the construction crews are concerned, we're still really trying to finish projects before the weather turns on us. Finished up a pretty sizable swaling job on Pine Bluff. We're all done with the dead end water flushing and trying to do some, finish up some blacktop patches today, actually. The blacktop plant closes on Friday, so that'll be the end of that. The collections crew has been working with sewer plant guys, cleaning lift stations, and continuing with the cut, jet, and flush schedule. That's
Is
what it,
Pine Bluff out, north of Target?
north of like Fleet Farm, off of Burlowski.
Okay.
Yep, it's like a dead end road.
Yep.
There was some flooding problems out there, had to cut some trees back and get swales in there to get water off the road.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Next is a motion to approve membership in North Central Wisconsin Stormwater Coalition, Joel.
Yeah, so we are currently a member of the coalition, and I believe that they request that this gets action every 4 years or so. So this is the same resolution that all of the members, and these are people within the Wisconsin River Basin, really, is what it comes down to. I think there's 50-some communities that could be members or a representative by it. And then this is the agreement. All the parties signed the same agreement. So we have been for several years. There's definite benefit to it because we get to use materials that the coalition puts together for our annual MS4 permit report. So this is just a re-upping of that membership, more or less. I'd recommend approval.
So the documents or papers right behind it that are entitled Stormwater Management Cooperative Agreement is part of that as well?
Yes, that's the agreement that would get signed after the approval of the resolution, just so.
And what are the annual membership fees approximately?
Was this one about 1,400, 2,500, somewhere right in there? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So a motion to reapprove the membership is in order.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 So what's wrong? I thought the Rib Mountain became a village, so. This says town in here.
There's both. There's the town and there's the village, yep.
Okay.
Kind of like Town of Plover
So
and
they
Village
kind
of Plover.
of separated out, okay.
All those in favor signify by a sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign, motion carried. Okay, modification of the water service area.
Just discussion on this. Typically, anything outside, not typically, as it stands right now, anything outside the city of Stevens Point that gets access to our municipal drinking water is listed in ordinance. Years back, anything outside the city of Stevens Point was specifically listed by the address or some other description. So in other words, like you may recall, some properties along East Maria were listed because of an old leak at the Kickapoo station, which has been Quick Trip for 20 years, but it was Kickapoo 25 ago, whatever it was. And then there were some in the village of Park Ridge listed out specifically that were mostly along Highway 10 or 66 now, Main Street, Park Ridge Drive. What we're going through right now is the village of Park Ridge is looking to put in some more infrastructure because they recently got under contract with the city for fire protection. So this red outline is the village. And in order to make easier their capital plan, so they're going to do something like here with the blue is water, the green is sewer, and then here, so a couple more mains through town for fire protection purposes. Now, from an infrastructure perspective, and that's what we do here, it does not make a whole lot of sense and it's not very efficient to put in that kind of infrastructure and make it not available to the residents that are adjacent to it. The reason we've listed them by property in the past, who gets the water and who doesn't, was largely a development thing. So you wouldn't want a water main that goes down the middle of a road and it's, you know, Stevens Point on one side and another municipality on the other. You wouldn't want the developer picking the other side of the road and getting our utilities, but getting their municipality, right? Because they're Stevens Point utilities. That condition doesn't really exist with Park Ridge anymore, if it ever did. We're not worried about Park Ridge getting, you know, the Plaza Hotel where we want it instead, because there's no room in Park Ridge, right? Park Ridge is pretty much developed. There might be a couple parcels here and there that aren't developed currently, but it isn't a thing where we're worried about that. So I just wanted to see, as we pursue this, if there's anything that you wanted to know about this or comment on, or direction if we were to propose the ordinances be modified to indicate that anything in Park Ridge is, has access to our utilities where the utilities are available, something very broad like that, because it'd make it easiest for us to work with them on fire protection for the residents that are adjacent to the water mains they put in to get municipal water. They have municipal sewer everywhere now, everything, that's all these green lines. So just wanted to throw that out there and see if there's any thoughts or concerns, so that as we have discussions down the road, I know how to take it forward. This is one of those.
So were they all on wells?
They're all in wells currently, except for some of the businesses along 10 and the subdivisions that are up here, Odessa and Angelo Court, all have sewer and water.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else down south of Main here, they're all on their own private wells, but they have municipal sewer.
So what does that mean for, like, the cost, out of curiosity, the cost to those residents to hook up?
That is actually
a choice, or are they forced, or what is that?
So the village will be paying for any infrastructure that goes in, and they will then essentially dedicate it to us because of the fact that we can't have infrastructure on our system that isn't our infrastructure. But it won't be the initial expense of development, won't be ours, it'll be theirs. And they will likely use some process like the assessment process to say, we're gonna put in services, even if they're not used right now, we're gonna assess those to the residents. But that's up to them. I'm not saying this is how it's gonna happen. And then if it's there and it's paid for and the resident wants to connect, we'd allow it, subject to the city saying Park Ridge is eligible for utilities. And the only thing right now is that they're not is water, because they get sewer. So it's nothing that I think we should have any concern over, but it's one of those few more political-based decisions than operational-based decisions. And so it's worthy of some discussion before it gets other discussion at.
I'm not opposed to, exploring it, and what you've described so far seems to make sense. But I don't think that we can make a good decision on whether to go forward or not unless we have the written changes in front of us.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's fair. And that's just it, is because we're gonna look at doing some ordinance amendments, and I just wanted to get a general, like, yeah, this makes sense, or no, this doesn't, from you guys before I represent it that way and we start.
sure.
Yeah, I'll bring back the ordinance amendment red lines for you guys.
And have you had any primary discussions with, the older persons or trustees, I guess it's trustees, or the village management about this particular idea?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And they're receptive so far.
Yeah, in fact, I think what it does is we're gonna wanna have those in place before they pull the trigger on any of their capital master planning, because it's a big deal for the village to be putting in that kind of infrastructure.
For sure, yeah.
And they wanna know exactly where they sit with the city before they do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we said we'd get going on some amendments before that, so they know. Yep.
Well, do you know if, it would be beneficial for the individual residents having better fire protection than they have now?
Yeah, because, you know, because they're covered by the city of Stevens Point now, the city can cover them in whatever capacity needed, whether they need to use drafting or whether they use tenders or whatever. But long-term, it'll be better protection if there are more hydrants available.
Okay.
And so that's what they're working towards. And that being the primary interest says that, well, we get, you know, when you're adjacent to city utilities and somebody's well or septic comes due, they always call hoping that they can connect, because you put it in once and it's pretty much done, right? So I suspect that no matter what the environment is, if this happens, that people who are adjacent to that will want to connect when their well goes bad. They'll actually not come into the septic scenario because they already have laterals. So it could be optional at that point. It couldn't be non-optional. I don't know. That part's down the road yet.
Okay.
Well, the good news for the residents there is the lots, by comparison, are very narrow. And so the cost per square footage will be considerably less than it might be in a new development. So,
Yeah, it should be pretty efficient, yeah.
yeah. Okay, well, we'll look forward to an update on that as time goes on.
Okay.
Anything else for director's report?
I have nothing to add for director's report.
Okay, then we need a motion and a individual vote to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, paren 1, paren E, for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, and et cetera.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye when your name is called. Jimmy?
You want to call? Yeah, I'll just call him.
Okay.
Alder Schmidt? And not Alder,
Aye.
Commissioner,
Aye.
and Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
and Paul.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. All right, we're gonna go into closed session then. Do you guys want to get the doors? And I need to ask Alder Lang, you're on. Did you want to stay on for closed session? Alder Lang? You do, okay. Real good. I'm gonna put community TV in the waiting room.
Have Director Lemke negotiate with, two individual parcels, one a house and one vacant lot. And we have given him instructions on what his maximum, limit might be to, pay for those properties. And he will be approaching the trustee of those properties, about that as we go forward.
Yeah.
And we don't need a motion, or?
Well, I think the motion would be to pursue acquisition of those properties to the maximum dollar amount as discussed in closed session.
Very good.
Sounds
Get that,
good.
Jamie?
Did somebody get that?
Okay. Okay, we need a
Make that
motion.
Motion.
That, first from, Anna. Second from Ray.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All same sign. Motion carried.
Oop, I don't wanna do that.
All right, and then we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Aye. All same sign. Motion carried.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.